Patriots all alone, very, very lonely at the bottom right now. Very lonely at the bottom. And that's where we're at right now.
It's genuinely jarring that the Jets are out here beating the Eagles and the Patriots can't beat either one of their former backup quarterbacks.
There is a single winless team, and that is Carolina, and I might remain that way. I don't think Carolina's taken a quarterback. I think right now you've got this is such a funny thing too. If the standings end up the way they end up right now, and you've also got problems too because you have the Bears with Houston. There's a whole bunch of things going on, but look at the standings here. Carolina 0-6, Denver, Arizona, Patriots, and Bears at 1-5. Giants will be 1-5 in short order as well. The Giants just signed Daniel Jones to an extension they're going to regret. The Bears are in here with Justin Fields trying to figure out if he can play quarterback or not. Cardinals have a massive extension for Kyler Murray, who might not even play this year. Broncos, their extension with Wilson doesn't kick in till next year. They will certainly be looking for another quarterback. He will be cut, and they're going to eat $85 million in dead cap next year to not have him be on the team anymore. Because if he makes that 24 team, I think it's after day 3 of the league year, it guarantees his 25 salary. So they're gone. And the Panthers just drafted their franchise quarterback. It's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens here because the Patriots are now in the mix at the bottom. They are officially, whether you want to talk about it or not, whether you believe it's a reality or not, they're in the Caleb sweepstakes right now, or they're in the sweepstakes for another quarterback. They certainly are. This team is bottom 5 potential. They do get a respite after these 2 games and a series of winnable games. I'm curious what kind of team emerges from the next 2 games with the Bills and the Dolphins, particularly if they are 1-7, whether there's wholesale changes, whether there's anything we see, or they just keep slugging it out. But there are winnable games still on this schedule, so the Patriots can dig themselves out. Question is, and again, what are we looking at? Commanders, Colts, Giants. Obviously, the Chargers are, not world beaters either, but, a team you would consider better. Then it's the Steelers. They've also got the Broncos. They've got another date with the Jets. They could squeak out 5, 6, 7 wins here. They could. Do you want them to?
Yeah, they could. Will they and should they?
Do you want them to? Everyone now is going to be screaming for tanking. They're not going to tank. They may just lose because they're bad, but there's nothing to tank 2 or 4. It's not like play the kid, you don't have another, you're just going to kind of go with it. I don't know where you go here. I really don't know what they do. They keep trying to win, I guess, but what happens if they do come out of this 1-7? What are we doing here?
Ever wish you could navigate the betting field with the confidence of a pro? Enter Odds Are. They're not a sports book, but they're the sports betting advisor you've always needed. It's like having a playbook for smarter bets right in your pocket. I've been absolutely loving the experience, and I think you will too, especially since Patriots Press Pass listeners get a 30-day free trial. Elevate your game day and join the smart betting revolution. Go get it at oddsr.com/presspass. That's oddsr.com/presspass.
It's so hard because if this were later in the season, if they were 500 going into the bye week and then they fell off, you fight for pride at least. It's you get the shell shock of losing a couple games, and you're just hey, we want to finish the season knowing we can go into next season with something. This is so early for your entire offensive season to feel like a lost cause. And it's not like this is a rebuilding team right now with the new coach where it's hey, things are going to be tough, but we believe in what we're doing right now. And we're trying to pick ourselves up so, again, we can be a prideful team next year and have something to build on. This is a team where it seems like a lot of people are going to be out of the door. You have to wonder when people are going to, if players are going to continue to buy in. And buy-in is such an intangible thing, and it's hard to know as an outsider whether or not that's a thing. But even Gerard Mayo acknowledged last week that, yeah, that happens. I'd lie to you if I said that, defenders don't get pissed off when they're on the field for 40 minutes of a football game.
The defensive coach is saying that.
It's not like the defense bent, it didn't break, but, there were also some plays you look at on defense where you're all right, the Raiders had their wins, and it's football. It's the NFL. other teams are going to get theirs, but the defense wasn't perfect either. But still, it's a game where you're saying, hey, well, we held this team to a pretty respectful amount of points, and you just couldn't put more than 2 touchdowns on the board, which honestly, for the Patriots offense, saying they put 2 touchdowns on the board, I feel like I'm stepping outside of myself by acting like that's not a huge accomplishment, because it is. That's huge. They did it. They scored a touchdown for the first time in like 3 weeks. But it's a really tough situation, and I do not know how players are going to respond when you are putting your body on the line for a lost cause in an organization that's about to have a lot of change. I don't know. I agree. I don't know where you go from here, because Belichick is going to preach pride and, all these things to try to keep them motivated, but like, who's going to want to listen at some point when they're, when they're already 10 games in the gutter? I don't know.
Yeah. And I think somebody was talking about, we mentioned Butte earlier today, and I can't stress enough that my belief or hope that someone like Keyshawn Butte is going to be even a viable NFL caliber receiver is very low. I'm just saying it can't hurt to see. Who knows, right? But there was a social media post, I believe he put out on his Instagram, something to the effect of "free me" or something. That chirping's not going to get you very far in New England. So
it's not a smart thing to do for a rookie who was picked in the
So I gotta see if that's verified or not. But that's what people were talking about in the chat. I think that might be what people were referring to here. So I don't know. Do we have to keep doing these shows? Do you want us to keep doing these shows? I don't know.
Hey, keep hate watching. I appreciate it. Yeah, we should definitely keep doing these.
As long as you don't hate us, we didn't do anything, did we?
We're going through it just like everybody else. But at this point, it's not even shocking anymore. Like Dallas and New Orleans, like Dallas was pretty disappointing. Like that was the real, like, holy crap, what's going on? The Saints was more like, this is just so boring, and I don't even want to be watching this. And of course, they lost in embarrassing fashion. This one is just, it's a bad team. Like, what are you going to do about it? You can only be disappointed so many times when a team shows you who they are. Yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how many different ways we can talk about. To put it bluntly, just the ineptitude on this offense to constantly get in their own way. And even the good is so contained and so brief. I'm not saying anything you all don't know right now.
I know, but the worst part about it is, like, as someone who's, spent his life in Boston and watched different iterations of different teams, I'll date myself and I'll go back to Bledsoe's rookie year. Oh my God, what a 5-win season that was. You know why? Because it was, we've got a real one. We got an actual quarterback here. This isn't Scott Sequels or Tommy Hodson or Hugh Millen. This is a real guy. Like, this could be real. This could be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. This is so exciting. And so when they won a couple games down the stretch, it was like, I can't wait till next year. You watch the games to see the growth, to see potential. We've seen tanking Celtics teams. We've seen young Celtics teams in this sort of vein too. Play the kids. You want to see what they have, want to see if they can blossom into something. Those, you can get down with that type. What the F do you want to see here? Who do you want to see play? Who do you want to see get opportunities? Who are you excited about? There's nothing to watch for. Pop, sure, that's it. There's next to nothing. Like, if you right now were like the Lions a year or two ago, whatever, there's nothing to watch for. There's no ascending players. The thing that gets me about this team, Taylor, is the future is more bleak than the present, and the present is brutal. The only thing you can say is they've got cap space, and they're going to have a hell of a high draft pick next year. So you're going to hope that they do something with those things. But right now, the cupboard is absolutely bare. There is nothing here to get behind. Nothing. And I'm not saying there isn't a competent football player or two. That's not fair. There's some good players on the defensive side of the ball. Christian Gonzalez was an ascending star right out of the gate, 3-4 games into his career. Really shame to see him go down. You could have been excited about a couple of pieces in place. But, I mean, look, offense sells tickets, and we're talking about the offensive side of the ball here. You could get rid of every single player on this team right now, and I don't think anybody would bat an eye. And that's the problem, is there's no keepers here. Yeah, clear the decks. Give me here's all my cards. I want an entirely new hand. That's it.
Yeah.
And again, I can get down with a guy but I mean, what are you going to do here? You're going to enter year 3 with Tyquan Thornton Taylor with no clue if he can play football? Play the guy 40, 50 snaps a game and figure it out. Like, what is the point? Why are you going to waste another year of knowing whether or not you have something in someone? When I say play these guys, it's to make some determinations. You know what you have in Parker and Juju. At this point, recognize that, like, if we're going to build forward, I got to figure out who I'm taking with me, okay? Mm-hmm. The rest of the season is an audition to not get fired, for every single player on this team. That's what it has to be. It's certainly if you come out of this 1-7 at this point. So let's get moving on that. The sooner the better. And I think then fans would get behind it a little bit more, because you'd be able to get to see some stuff. You can take the losses, but do I want to watch Parker and Juju and those guys just not getting open for, 8 more weeks, 9 more weeks? No, you don't want to see that,
The CLNS Media Network is powered by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. When you place a $5 bet, that's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose.
And the really brutal part is they don't even have a bye week for 5 weeks. Like, usually the bye week is where you sit down and you're like, all right, here are the big changes we're going to make. Like, if this were kind of creeping up right before the bye, it would be a little different, because you say, okay, the season is this way, we're going to make this change. It, again, is so early in the season that you have to wonder, okay, are they really trying to be competitive? When are they going to embrace the suck and just be like, hey, this is a year where, like you said, we need to see what we have on the roster and stop putting these guys out here who are not only disappointing us, but not doing anything for the team long term. Because the past, I'd say 2 or 3 seasons have been, like, ever since Mac Jones's rookie year, it's just been regression after regression. Find something positive to work towards. And like they said in the chat, give the fans something to watch for. At the end of the day, this is entertainment. If you're going to suck, be entertaining at the very least. Like, that is all you can ask for. This is entertainment. And I keep joking about it. I forget sometimes that football is supposed to be something that's fun and enjoyable, and not something that just makes you frustrated and you wonder why you even watch the sport. So I agree, man. It's a weird part in the season, and I have no idea how they're going to respond, but they need to start truly seeing what young talent they have and what they can do with some opportunities. If it looks ugly, it already looks ugly. So
that's the thing. How much uglier can it get?
Right.
That's the whole point, is at some point, try something different. Bill, I do think, hold on one second. Doesn't matter.
Mac just keeps lying. Mac just keeps on lying.
Yeah.
What is this? Remember when Sailor Straight faced the Pats?
I mean, I'll put it this way. I'll say this. For Mac having been talked about as a guy who's a bit whiny, and maybe throwing some people under the bus or this or that, I think a lot of times he eats it too. And I think, he's eating it again here, and he kind of has to, but you can throw people on the bus, and subtly he has at times. And I don't love when he does that, because I think he's also partially to blame. But as frustrated as I'd be with Mac if I were certain players on the team, Mac also has a right to be frustrated with a lot of what's going on around him as well, too. So, I mean, as you said, the buy-in, there's the trust. Am I being put in a position to succeed? Is anything that we're doing right now going to work? Are these guys going to be able to run the play you called for them? Like, is this even the right thing that we're doing here? Am I going to die if I drop back on a 5-step drop to try to find somebody downfield? Like, I can't do it.
And that's what makes it so hard to, like, really put blame on Mac, because, like, he does deserve it, because he's making mistakes that you wouldn't expect high school quarterbacks to make. Like, he's regressed in some really jarring ways where it's like, you can, it's not fair, this position they're putting you in, but you have also not responded well in the face of adversity. But again, this is a quarterback who we knew coming into the league needed support and has not gotten it in any capacity. Have the Patriots tried? Sure, in their own way, but it hasn't worked. And that's the reason why, when I look at this team, I think when it comes to the front office and how they build the team and offense, I think the defense is fine. I hope there's some arrangement where they can keep the defensive staff because I think they do a tremendous job.
Yep.
But when it comes to the offense and the way that they build on offense, they need sweeping changes. Like one thing, I'll just put this out there. I'm just obsessed with Ben Johnson right now. I feel like the toughness that the Lions have on offense, I think what they try to do conceptually is what the Patriots want to be. But I also think that Ben Johnson is enough ahead of the curve, especially in his rushing attack, where I feel like the best offenses can have a run game that just forces you to keep your eye discipline in check. And then you can capitalize on that by staying in structure and just having a lot of things to throw at teams. I feel like Ben Johnson is someone this offense needs who can really get them back to being a team that can out-physical you and do all these positive things in the pass game while also bringing something fresh. And then just in terms of the people they bring on board offensively, like it's just whatever their strategy has been. I was all like in Bill we trust for a while. This year was my breaking point of last year you made some clearly horrible mistakes personnel-wise on the coaching staff that screwed the team. That was where I started to pull back. And this year, it's like, all right, you got your guy in Bill O'Brien. You have some veterans where you know what they are in the league. Let's see what happens. But you bring in Juju, who if you have a medical staff and they see how affected he was by his knee injury that hurt him last year when he was with the Chiefs, you should have known that he was sapped and not gone after him. But you did, and you put yourself in a bad position and thrust somebody else in a role that they wouldn't be able to rise to the occasion for the way that you needed for that slot role. It's so integral for the team on top of a million other things. Like literally, I could just talk myself into a circle with all the bad decisions Bill's made in 2 years that just make all the other times you kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt, the years where Brady left before that, it just compounds them and makes them look so much worse because there was never any turnaround. So I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm venting at this point.
I know there's a bit of frustration because some stuff seems avoidable. Some stuff feels self-inflicted. Some just feel stubborn. And that's what's kind of frustrating right now is like, you see it. Like, why aren't you fixing it? Like, what's going on? What are we not doing here? And so again, I've said this a million times before, and I kind of ranted a little bit about this. It's what I do sometimes. I get emotional and I rant. And I do believe this is a good comment here. And this is my philosophy too. That both things are true. Mac might not be the guy or not be able to do it, or certainly not be able to do it on his own, but he has no help. 100% with that. But what frustrates me here, and I think where fans start to get angry or emotional with this stuff, it's not spoiled. Yes, Patriots fans, of course, are a tad spoiled. You're used to, there's a standard.
Crazy.
If you're someone, 30 years old or younger, you've only known one thing, so and that's winning. I mean, that's basically, for 20 years the Patriots basically played one game a season. It was the AFC title game. That's the only game that mattered all year. So this is weird, but it's not a spoiled thing. It's that I've always said this as a fan. Fans are this team belongs to the fans. The people who manage it are the stewards. They're managing your property, okay? And I know Belichick's been here for a long time, but when you see it mismanaged, when you see stuff happen and it affects, like I said, you spend a lot of time, probably money, following this thing, probably an inordinate amount of time and money, and care and anxiety and, who knows, blood pressure medication, keeping up with sports here, and to watch it go this badly is really, really frustrating. So I get where it's coming from, but you just want to see that like they recognize it and they're trying to fix it too. And right now, nothing looks like that's happening. It's a lot of status quo, a lot of like, let's patch up these big gaping wounds with just a little bit of gauze and just, hope that we can, stem it for a little bit longer and stop the bleeding. And there's nothing here. There's nothing creative. There's nothing revolutionary. There's nothing forward looking. And you saw it. It happened this week, Taylor. Knives Out. A lot of reporters kind of came out with a lot of stuff, and it feels like there's a little bit of talking coming from inside the walls about people not really sure what's going on here. And you heard, lots of different things with just displeasure last year and what, Bill did for Mac and how he didn't really help him at all, how the Patriots don't rely on analytics in the least when it comes to making their personnel decisions, and they're kind of set in their ways.
Unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Which is unacceptable. Anybody can go on to Next Gen and find valuable information on players in terms of things like separation stats, and the Patriots totally ignore it. Things like that are very odd. So for someone to just be stubborn, I know a lot of people throw around the word hubris, but to be stubborn and to be stuck and to continue to insist, that we got it, we'll figure it out because we always do. But you're not. You're currently not. And that's what's driving people nuts right now is, when are you going to recognize it doesn't work? Like, that's part of the problem is it's not only not working, it appears to be that they don't think what they're doing is the thing that's not working. It just happens to not be working, as if this wasn't something born from every single decision that's been made by the top guy for the last 4 years. This is where we're at with this team right now. So
with the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. Head to factormeals.com/PressPass50 and use code PressPass50 to get 50% off. That's code PressPass50 at factormeals.com/PressPass50 to get 50% off.